Welcome to the latest edition of Beyond the Arc. I'm John Gonzalez alongside our NBA insider, Bill Ryder. Bill, did you catch the Final Four this weekend? What'd you do?
I did. I watched Duke with the epic collapse, and I wore a shirt for you. Do you like this?
Yes, I did. I saw that.
This is for you.
I saw that. I was in the barbershop this weekend, and somebody had said that they had gone to the Clippers game, and they weren't really on board with the Intuit Dome. And I was like, because the food, he was complaining about the food, and I was like, okay, fine, the food isn't that great, but technologically, I thought it was like a marvel, the experience, like the video replays, having the 5 video. I'm an evangelist for the Intuit Dome, and I was a little surprised to hear somebody bad mouthing it.
I mean, I'm surprised I still get into the Intuit Dome based on my writings of the Clippers, and I still love the place. You and I were talking offline a second ago about movies and Rotten Tomatoes. And based on my sort of sample size, if you were to Rotten Tomato everyone I've talked to in my community who have gone to those games, it would have a 99.9% fate. I've heard almost nothing bad about that place.
The one I heard, the food, and then the other complaint was not enough video monitors in the concourse. So like if you're up and about and you're not real, you're grabbing a beer or food or something, you won't be able to see the game. But I still enjoyed my experience there. We're not going to do any Clippers today. Later in the show, we're going to do Oklahoma City losing again. Jalen Brunson made his return. We'll discuss that in our Weekend Radar segment, and we'll do Team of the Night. But first, Bill, the Rockets are rolling. I can't wait to talk to you about this. They beat Golden State by 10 in San Francisco on Sunday. That comes after beating Oklahoma City. They have now won 3 in a row and 8 of their last 10. They are one of 2 teams in the Western Conference, along with Oklahoma City, to clinch a playoff spot. There's only a week left, and we still have so much in flux that we're going to get to. But Bill, you have been, I think, rightly skeptical of the Rockets. However, I can't quit them. I got on board super early last season. This season, they just keep plugging along. And what we saw against Oklahoma City and the Warriors is part of why I like them. They're big, they're athletic, they get after you, obviously, defensively. They locked up SGA and Steph Curry in back-to-back games. Have you changed your mind about the Rockets?
No. I mean, look, do I think that they're great? Yes. Do I think their future is incredibly bright? I do. Do I think they have a really interesting and I think like win-win choice between roll it back next year versus sort of move on from some of these guys and picks and bring in somebody as a short-term mercenary? Yeah, that's a decision they'll have to make. Do I think they're making a conference finals this year? I don't. Am I willing to bet you an Arthur J dinner that I still haven't paid up from the last time? I am not. So look, I could be wrong. And you and I have discussed this, and I just had this conversation on the radio show with Jeff Zilgett. He thinks the West goes 3 or 4 deep, right? If you think the Thunder can lose, I think it goes 8 deep. I think you can make a case for 8. And the one that I am the most skeptical of is Houston. That said, you're right. They're on an incredible run, and I don't doubt their youthful excellence. I just subscribe to the view that if you haven't accomplished anything in the playoffs, especially if you're young, you're not going to the first time or two. And I still think that's going to apply.
In isolated games and back-to-back games against Oklahoma City and the Warriors, who I would say, I don't know where you are on the Warriors and Oklahoma City, but I would say going into this weekend, if I had to pick 2 teams that were most likely to come out of the West, I would have those 2 teams. So I thought it was really impressive that, Amin Thompson has been an absolute revelation this season. You and I still need to do your Bill has to vote for awards and let's go through them thing. He would be on, I think, probably second team all defense for me. He held SGA to 22 points on 10 for 22 shooting. That's his lowest point total since December 28th, Bill. The guy's going to win MVP most likely. And then in the next game against Steph Curry made 1 shot out of 10. Amin Thompson put both of those guys in hell. And that's something that it's not just Amin Thompson. They've got guys all over that roster that can do that. Now, to your point about the West being, say, 8 deep, again, we're going into the final. This is so wild, Bill. So we're going into the final week of the season. The Eastern Conference playoff picture, there's going to be some jockeying for seeding, but it's locked up. You already know the 6 teams that are going to be in the playoffs proper, and we already know the 4 teams that are going to be in the play-in. The only thing that we know about the West right now is that the Thunder and the Rockets are in. So I'm with you that it's deeper than Zilgett would otherwise give them credit for. And I think non-Oklahoma City division, could the Rockets win a series against the Lakers, the Nuggets, who we'll get to, are reeling a little bit, the Clippers? Yeah, I mean, I would take the Warriors over them, obviously. Timberwolves, sure, I could see that. The Grizzlies are in free fall. I mean, any of these teams, I think that they'd have at least a puncher's chance.
Excluding Oklahoma City, right? Any of these teams can beat any of these teams in a 7-game series. I mean, matchups sort of shift that, but I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now. Memphis has won 2 in a row. I mean, I know that they're a hot mess, but Minnesota, I'm in on. Who, by the way, I think have won 5 in a row, and they're still in the play-in by the tiebreaker. I know the Warriors lost, but they were coming off of their own 5-game win streak.
Your Clippers are on a heater.
The Clippers are on a the Clippers that I've never doubted are on a crazy heater. And Denver's only, half a game up in that 4 spot? I mean, everything's moving. So everybody's got this ceiling and everybody's got this floor outside of the Thunder. And what's interesting is how much do you want to bet on current form when we actually get into the playoffs versus, the totality of the year. I'm a lot more confident that Denver can figure it out than I might be if Houston was on a slide right now, which they're obviously not.
Also from this weekend, games of note, we mentioned that the Thunder lost to the Rockets. Well, they also lost to the Lakers yesterday, Bill. Now there's going to be a rematch tomorrow night. We're going to be live on YouTube after that game. Come and find us at Beyond the Arc CBS after that game tomorrow night. But the Lakers winning that game, that's a nice little boost for them. They're 1 up on the Nugs. They shot 55% from the floor and from 3, and they out rebounded Oklahoma City. So I was on HQ, I don't know, this weekend at some point, and they asked me, well, what's your level of concern about the Lakers? Do you have any? And I said, well, it's tough to look at a team with LeBron and Luka and be all that worried. That's like a really nice starting point. But to the extent that I had any concern, it's what we identified pretty early on, which is that they have really no front court outside Jackson Hayes. Well, Bill, they only played Jackson Hayes 13 minutes in that game. They've decided to really go with this sort of like defense by, 6'6" to 6'8" committee guys, where Dorian Finney-Smith is running out there 30 minutes and Vando and Gabe Vincent. And, at first I was a little bit worried about that in a game against, Oklahoma City, but man, proof of concept there. The Lakers might be onto something here. Yeah.
And let me throw in on top of Luke and LeBron. I mean, Austin Reeves is playing really good right now.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, in more than a couple games. So it's, again, I'm just going to repeat myself. I can make a case for any of these teams, but I can absolutely see the Warriors. The thing is, can the Lakers make the conference finals? Undoubtedly, especially if they're in the 3, right? That's an easier path. But if you told me the Lakers were going to play the Warriors in the opening round, which, by the way, if it ended today and it's all going to move, that would be the matchup. I'm taking the Warriors in that series. So it's all in the margins here.
How concerned are you, if at all, about Oklahoma City, who went from having won 11 in a row and 17 of 19 to losing these last 2 games? And in these last 2 games, at first I was like, all right, well, look, they've had their playoff position and the first seed locked up for a while. Maybe they're a little bored. That could absolutely be baked into it. But they haven't sat their guys. They played pretty much everybody in both of those losses. And what I thought was interesting, to the extent that we're going to even bother with concern trolling over the best team in basketball, but they lost those games in different ways. Against Houston decided to go with Adams and Şengün in a double big lineup against Chet and Hartenstein, and Adams and Şengün got the better of them in that game. And then, as I mentioned, against the Lakers have half a big in Jackson Hayes, and he only played 13 minutes. So it was like contrasting styles, and they lost both of those games. Not worried.
And I know that. So the Thunder are not playing for anything, and sort of neither are the Rockets. But I think when you haven't proven it and maybe people doubt you, which a lot of people do, I'm not the only one out there saying Houston's great, but ... there's maybe a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. I think for me, John, the Thunder have the same question the Rockets have, only with higher stakes. My question for the Rockets is, are they going to win their opening round series and/or 2? The question for the Thunder is, are they going to make the NBA Finals? Anything short of the Thunder making the finals is a disappointing outcome in the playoffs. And in both cases,
the conference finals, if they made the conference finals, not enough.
I mean, I think
they're not. Yeah, it's been so historic.
They're not going to win 70 games. Obviously, the math now is over on that with the losses, but incredible run. The stats are amazing. They're probably going to have the end. Whatever. They're an incredibly team with an incredible basketball player in Shea who leads them. Yeah, and I think my question for them is not form now. I'm not worried about now. I think there's not the sense of urgency that 3 through 8 have in the West, and there's not the chip on our shoulder, nobody believes in us reality that the Rockets, I think, do in fact have. I think they're kind of letting go of the rope a little bit, to quote Eric Spoelstra. I just wonder when they get to the playoffs, do they have enough playoff experience? I think I don't know the answer. I think it's a real thing, but I'm not worried about what's happening today.
Last year, we went down to the wire with the Wolves, the Thunder, and the Nuggets.
That was fun.
Trying to figure out who was going to be the 1 seed, the 2 seed, and the 3 seed. We know who's going to be the 1. We have a good idea that the Rockets are going to be the 2. Is this, though, more wide open, Bill, in the Western Conference? Because as we mentioned, like 1 through whoever comes out 7 and 8, I mean, you're going to have a pretty good, because there are questions about Oklahoma City. They're going to have the best net rating ever and the best point differential ever and the MVP candidate. But as you mentioned, they haven't done it yet.
I mean, look, Denver's not going to drop to the play-in probably, but it's not impossible. So you're talking the Thunder in theory could play Denver, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Timberwolves, or the Grizzlies. They will play one of those teams. I don't want to play any of those teams, and there's a few that I really like. If you're the Thunder, you're the favorite against everybody. But the degree to which you're a favorite varies depending on who you face. So I think it's the most open the Western Conference has been in my time covering the NBA.
I'm glad you brought up the Nuggets. We're going to talk about them on the other side, and I'm just going to point this out. They are closer to the play-in they're the 4 seed right now. They are closer to the play-in than they are to the Lakers, who they are a game and a half behind. It's absolutely wild. They've lost their last 4 in a row. Jamal Murray has been absolutely MIA, and Joker is just murdering everybody, and it hasn't mattered. Let's discuss the Nuggets and also that just the whole bottleneck that's happening in the Western Conference. We'll do more of that on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale. Wonderful goal.
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. You can find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Please download, subscribe, leave a review. And if you're listening on Spotify, if you look below the play button on the Spotify app in full screen mode, you can leave us a comment. Nugs, Bill, last week you and I did a contenders draft, and after we got through the big 3, I had a choice of which team I would go with, and I took the Nuggets. And then they've lost 4 in a row since then. They lost to the Wolves, they lost to the Pacers, they lost to the Warriors, they lost to another team that escapes me. Joker played in 3 of those 4, Bill. Over those 3 games that he's played, he's averaging a 45-point triple-double. They still lost all of them. I mentioned on the other side before the break, Jamal Murray has missed his last 5 with a hamstring. Mike Malone said hopefully he'll be back for the playoffs. You and I have said all season long, hey, as long as Joker's out there, he's the best player in the world, even if he doesn't win the MVP, and they'll absolutely have a shot. I don't know. I'm the golden retriever. You throw a ball, the last thing I saw, I'm going to chase it. This does not feel good if I'm watching. You
are a little more in the moment than I am. By the way, to expand on your amazing stat of the 3 games he played in of the 4 that they've lost, 61, 10, and 10, 33. Amazing. This is his worst game. This is his worst game I'm about to give you. 33, 12, and 9, and then 41, 15, and 13. What the holy F?
Yeah,
and they're losing
and they're losing.
So somebody said this to me, a buddy of mine, today, and it blew my mind.
Oh, and San Antonio was the other loss. That was it.
Oh,
yeah.
If it were any other star other than Nikola Jokic on any other team other than the Nuggets who won a title a couple years ago, wouldn't we be talking about the fact that this guy's got to force his way out and go somewhere where he can win?
I mean,
they're not helping him. They are not helping.
It's been a real up and down season, right? I mean, like they got off to a shaky start. They righted the ship. They looked like they were figuring it out. Russell Westbrook all of a sudden was a useful piece. Jamal Murray was hunting shots. MPJ was being more aggressive and taking more threes. And then like more recently, obviously over this last week, not having Jamal Murray out there has hurt them, and they are pretty thin. And I don't think Michael Porter Jr. has been, as aggressive as they necessarily need him to be. Yeah. I mean, that's one of those situations where, I mean, if I don't think it's not as dire a situation as Milwaukee for Giannis.
Because they won.
And I think the Nuggets can still be disruptive too. I mean, I think there's a non-zero chance they end up in the conference finals. And then from there, who knows? But also like this last week of play-in season, I mean, we've been talking about this logjam. it's just wild that we're going into this final week and you've got the Clips, the Warriors, the Nugs, the Wolves. The Clips, the Warriors, the Wolves, and the Grizz all have the same record, and then the Nuggets are just a half game up on them. So,
and Denver has the hardest strength of schedule of those teams remaining. I mean, it's a small cluster of teams that are playing, but they've got the Rockets and Memphis still on tap.
Despite the fact that the Warriors just lost to the Rockets, they have been playing really good basketball. Your Wolves, who you've been singling out for a while now, they're on a 5-game win streak. That's the most in the conference, followed by your Clippers, who you've been
my guys.
They've won 4 in a row. So, since and then, as you mentioned, the Grizzlies, who they fire their coach and they lose a bunch of games, and then they've won 2 in a row recently. Because I'm the golden retriever chasing after the ball that was thrown most recently. Let's do a little small sample size theater of those teams: the Clips, the Warriors, the Wolves, the Grizz, and the Nugs. So much is up in the air. Who do you feel best about over this final week?
Warriors, despite what happened against Houston.
Yeah,
I feel great about. Is it strange that I feel great about Minnesota? I feel great about Minnesota.
Ant's been great. He's been fantastic. And you know what? Kawhi and the Kawhi has been phenomenal recently. It's just so hard to trust it.
Kawhi is so I had a buddy who dated way outside of his league, and this girl, she kept cheating on him in college. And we're like, dude, she's not going to change. And I remember they broke up and they got back together, and this time it's real. And after college, we're going to move somewhere together. That's what I feel like with Kawhi. I want to believe this can work. But I've seen this story before. How do I stretch this analogy till it breaks? His infidelity of injury will return. I don't. If he's healthy, they're a different team.
All right, so we both feel good about the Warriors and the Wolves. We feel cautiously optimistic about the Clippers. That leaves the Grizzlies and the Nuggets for us to not feel great about. I mean, I think it really comes down to, for the Nuggets, is Jamal Murray healthy, and what kind of Jamal Murray are you getting out of him? Last postseason was not a great one for him. He had a couple moments against the Lakers where he hit big shots and you were like, great. But overall for the postseason, he was bad. And then he was bad in the summer during the Olympics. And this season was up and down. I thought he really found his form, around the All-Star break, and was really playing pretty. But having a hamstring that can linger, it's obviously been lingering. Maybe they're just bringing him along slowly because the postseason is nearly upon them. And they're like, forget about the seed. It doesn't really matter. Everybody's bunched up. We just need him to be able to get out there. But that's a concern. And then I have gone from being a believer in the Grizz to just, despite the fact that they've won 2 in a row, being super concerned about that team and the vibes.
For me, I thought when Denver won the whole thing a few years ago that was going to be the impetus that MPJ was going to take this leap, right? Because the pressure's off, and Jamal Murray, he was awesome in that run. We're still talking about a Nuggets team that, other than their main guy, other than Jokic, doesn't have an All-NBA player. Doesn't have an All-Star. Shouldn't. But it's not as if Jamal Murray's been a sensational and overlooked. I think it may just turn out that Denver team's not very good. I think I said this to you last week, and it wasn't that good a couple years ago.
Is MPJ one of the more disappointing, hasn't taken the leap guys? Because physically, he has all the tools. I mean, he's big, he's fast, he's athletic, he can shoot. On paper, if you said, build me a prototypical NBA basketball player, that would be the dude. And it's just why isn't he dominating?
I think he'd be disappointing for everything you described. One of the most disappointing guys in the league in a vacuum based on everything you said. Let's factor in what they're paying him. I mean, they've already, and you have to, but that too. Paying him like a guy who's supposed to perform at a really high level. He's their best player this year? Their 5th?
Who would be? No.
I'll put Russ ahead of him.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, right. I think so.
And you're putting maybe Christian Brown ahead of him too.
So maybe it's 6. Yeah, Gordon. I mean, it's and obviously Jokic and Murray. He doesn't have an impact. So yes, to answer your question, MPJ is one of the most disappointing guys in the NBA. There's most improved player. I wish we could vote for most disappointing player. The MDP award.
I do like negging just some random guys just catching strays out of nowhere. Like, well, why do I have to win this stupid? It's like the Razzies instead of the Razzies.
Yeah, exactly.
The worst movies and the worst performances. okay, so yeah, while we're concerned trolling, I do have my concerns about the Nugs. Although, again, ultimately, you've got the Joker trump card. Like when he's averaging a 45-point triple double, yeah, they lost those 4 games, but like this guy's doing everything he possibly can to help them. What about level of concern over the Grizz? We've gone back and forth of this.
I mean, don't the Grizz have I think the Grizz play the Nuggets this week. I think that's one of the games.
I'm sure it's a huge
coming
week.
up. Didn't know off the top of my head, so I could be wrong. Aaron will tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. I mean, look, it's a legitimate question. It's hard for me to answer this because I can look at every one of these teams that are 4 through 8, and my brain immediately goes to, here's the argument for why they can win multiple playoff series, right? So
Yeah.
I'm concerned about all of them, but I also have a belief that all of them have this interesting ceiling if things go the right way. And the fact that the Grizzlies have won 2 in a row, that Ja Morant, I mean, I don't want him doing finger guns, but the fact that he's like playing with a chip on his shoulder and at a level, we're seeing that level that he's got to be at for them to be what they can be. If you make me pick, I guess I'll pick the team that's lost 4 in a row in Denver and the team that had lost 4 in a row until the weekend in the Grizz. But I can't tell you who I actually have the least faith in because it's so close.
It's so close. It's tremendous entertainment. I mean, this is a great thing for the NBA because you're wrapping up the national championship tonight, and then the rest of the way it's NBA. And this last week, last year, super fun that you had 3 teams jockeying for that 1 seed. Now you've got all this other stuff below the 2 line that's in flux that will come down to the final day on Sunday when all of these games will be wrapped up by 6:30 Eastern time on Sunday, and we'll have. People are going to be completely locked in on this. Meanwhile, Bill, the Eastern Conference, who we haven't talked about in like 7 years, it's just locked up this week, tomorrow, and we'll discuss this when we go live on YouTube. Again, come and join us at Beyond the Arc CBS. You've got Knicks and Celtics tomorrow night, and it's like a complete afterthought.
Yeah, who cares? I mean, you've got another Lakers Thunder game coming up
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. Today's Monday.
Tomorrow, we're gonna be live right after the game to discuss that one.
You know why that Knicks game doesn't matter? Because nobody believes in the Knicks on the level that they believe in the Timberwolves, who are the 7th seed in the Western Conference. I know.
Yep. You'd have to go through quite a few teams in the Western Conference before you'd even land on the Knicks to pick them if we were doing our power rankings. Let's take a quick timeout. And then, you know what? On the other side, let's talk about those Knicks because Jalen Brunson came back from an ankle injury after missing 15 games. He played yesterday. We'll discuss that. We'll do a little weekend radar. And once again, Bill, Shaq is at it. So we'll have to get into that too. This is Beyond the Arc. Yeah. She knows, and I know she knows. All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. A reminder that we're going to be live on YouTube tomorrow night after we got Knicks and Celtics, and then we've got another big one between the Lakers and Oklahoma City. Come and find us at Beyond the Arc CBS. Hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and the bell symbol. Click on the bell symbol. You'll get notified the second that we go live. All right, let's do a little weekend radar, Bill. As I mentioned, Jalen Brunson back. The Knicks went 8-7 without him. Not bad, right? It doesn't really matter. They're pretty much locked into that 3 seed. The outside chance that they're not, but they are. He played 34 minutes last night, looked rusty. But still, 34 minutes, I think, coming back from an ankle injury, and Thibbs is just like, get out there.
What is Thibbs doing? That's on my radar. Dude, there's no reason to play him. Play him 24 minutes. Is he making a point? He's making his point. I'm going to do so this is on my radar of being pissed off, by the way. I know we're talking Knicks.
I like it. Go vent.
No, it's just, what do you do? There's no need.
They had the Suns too, and they had that game. Like, the Suns are horrendous. They're going to miss the play-in. We're going to do tomorrow whose fault is it. We're going to do a show who to blame. There's going to be a lot of blame in Phoenix, but like, yeah, you're playing a team that's not really a professional team right now.
You are going to be the 3. You're going to finish 3rd in the Eastern Conference. It's over. It's set. It's locked. So I don't understand. Play everybody fewer minutes, but especially the guy that's coming back from an ankle injury that you just proved you can't win without at a level that makes you, even for those that believe, and you and I aren't really among them, believers the Knicks have some ceiling that includes, being competitive against a real team when they get to the second round of the playoffs. And that team is going to be Boston. I think Thibbs is great. He's a great coach, but if you can't learn and evolve, if you can't stop being the punchline of your own joke no matter how good you are at the other stuff, the story is going to end the same way. What's the definition of insanity? Thinking that you're going to just do the same thing over and over again and get a different outcome. You're not going to get a different outcome. Stop playing these guys so many minutes.
I want to give a shout out to my former Sports Illustrated colleague, Chris Herring, who wrote a really great, because everybody who watches the NBA or the Knicks or covers it, we all talk about Thibbs, and we do as you said, he's the butt of his own joke that he just can't stop playing all his guys all these minutes. Well, Chris did a deep dive on this and really put it in perspective. Like I was like, oh, okay, well, he's doing the story that everybody's done. He didn't, because there was a nugget in there, Bill, where he had Mikal Bridges has run an order of magnitude more than like any other guy who's even close to his position. He's run a marathon more than Tyrese Halliburton. A marathon more. He's run more than like a marathon and a half more than Dame Lillard, and like it's like outrageous amount of wear and tear that he's put on Mikal Bridges. And then you think, well, like, their top 4 guys are in the top 10 in minutes played. And it's just, it's a lot. Now, I think that we should also give some credit where it's due, right? Because for the first time in 30 years, the Knicks have won back-to-back seasons of 50 games. So that's not nothing, right? I mean, he has achieved something here.
Sorry, I just got some weird news on I'm sorry. Sorry.
No. The Knicks have won back-to-back 50-win seasons. That's not nothing, is what I'm saying.
No. I mean, look, if you want to assess it based on the standards of what the Knicks were before, and the same I think applies to Leon Rose, the GM. Great job, but they have the tools to be better. Yeah, you have the tools to be better than you're competent now, and you're going to be third, and you're going to go out in the second round. If you manage this roster properly, this Knicks roster, if you don't break down the playoffs, I don't know if you're I don't think you're beating Boston. I still think Boston's they're my favorite to win the whole thing.
Favorite in the East, yeah.
But you can push them. And if you can push a team, you can get lucky. Boston in particular can miss a bunch if they have sort of an anomalous series because of how many threes they shoot. You don't want anyone to get hurt, but if somebody gets hurt, right, all of those things. He's lifted him to a level, and now I'm not sure he can lift him any higher because he won't stop doing the same stuff he always does.
Tomorrow we get a little preview of that. Almost, well, you know what? Let's not even, because right now I think we're talking like, it's a foregone conclusion that Boston and the Knicks are going to meet in the second round, and they're going to have that game tomorrow. And normally that's a big game no matter what, because it is two franchises that have hated each other forever, and it's going to be a fun game. We're going to talk about it. However, I think that like this idea that it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to meet in the second round is kind of right now they're looking at a 3-6 matchup with the Pistons. Now, if the Bucks fall to 6, yes, I think that the Knicks, congratulations, that's a glide path into the second round. I don't think that the Pistons series is a pushover by any means.
I agree. And I think Brad and I talked about this on Friday, and if it was you, and I apologize. The Pistons are in this really unique position where it's all gravy. They're the only team that are going to be, I think, a top 6 team in either conference. They're going to be an actual guaranteed playoff team where there's not a lot of pressure. I mean, they want to win, they want to be competitive, but they've tripled their win total from last year. They are on the uptick. They have figured it out. And if the Pistons lose in 5 or 6 games as the 6 seeds of the Knicks, you know what? Great season. We're building something. We'll come back next. I think, and that's a weapon when you're playing a Knicks team that's going to have a lot of angst and a lot of like, you better at least get out of this round, guys.
That would be a disaster for the Knicks. Knicks fans would be losing their minds, especially with the expectations that they had coming into the season and getting Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson is back now. And like, yes, that would be an absolute disaster. I still think that the Knicks will win that series. All I'm saying is not a foregone conclusion. What else is on your radar from this weekend?
So, Sam, you and Sam have had this conversation. Sam wrote about the Bulls, and I'm not there yet. But the Bulls keep winning, and I've definitely been paying attention because the Sam twins. They are. It is weird. It is funny.
Sam wrote about it. He did a column, late season surges. That's what it was. And everybody can check that out on CBSSports.com. But his number 1 and 2 late season surges that he was paying attention to were Josh Giddey and Kobe White. I'm much more bullish on Kobe White than I am on Josh Giddey, but they have decisions to make in terms of like how much money they're going to pay Josh Giddey this offseason. He's a restricted free agent. And then Kobe White will be extension eligible next year. He's not going to do that. He's going to end up as a free agent. But then how much money do they pay those two guys and lock into a core that they've been super fun A lot of fun to watch. They could make some noise in the play-in tournament. Maybe they get into the playoffs proper. But those two guys aren't all-stars. Like, how far are they really going to get you? And like, we've seen Karnisovas give Patrick Williams 5 for 90. Like, I don't really trust that front office to figure out like what the right level is in money and then build a team. I don't know. It's weird. They're in a weird spot right now. I was saying to Sam, one of my buddies is a Bulls fan, and I was saying all this to him, and he goes, I don't care. They're just fun to watch right now, and they haven't been fun in so long.
No, that's a good point. I'm not a Bulls fan because of the work, right? It kind of goes away with me, but I grew up a Bulls fan. I grew up in Chicago and Iowa, not far from Chi-Town. And this is the most fun they've been since Derrick Rose, which was a long time ago. And didn't last very long. Guy got hurt pretty quickly.
Right now with that play-in group in the Eastern Conference, you've got the Magic in 7, the Hawks in 8, the Bulls in 9, and then the Heat in 10, each of them separated from the other team ahead of them by 1 game. I mean, the Bulls are hot right now. Like, they absolutely get out of the play-in. Right now, if you made me pick one of those teams, I'd take the Bulls.
That is ridiculous, by the way, that we're talking about. Yeah, I would too. And the other thing is, because it's a differently constructed team because of the trade deadline, the guys that we're talking about, Giddey in particular, haven't been there forever. And so it's not as if you're carrying this sort of the baggage of the last many years of being underwhelming. You can just go out there, have fun, and if you, right, like, and then you look to next year. It's not like when they had the core who's now in Sacramento, where this was another letdown, another disappointment. Because 3 or 4 years ago, they were first in the Eastern Conference in January. I mean, there was a time when the former core that they had there, they thought they were constructed in a way to be competitive. And so moving on from some of those guys and doing a restart, I think they're not going to do anything. But I think it makes the guys that are there be able to enjoy this little run, play with some passion, and not worry about the fact they've sucked for the last, what feels like 50 years.
Yeah, that thing went south when Lonzo got hurt. This thing, the ceiling's not that high, although Mattis Buzelis could be something, but it's just been enjoyable to watch. And I wanted to point out, like, this season has been fun. We're coming down. We've just spent a whole portion of the show talking about how enjoyable the Western Conference finish is. We're talking about the Bulls and getting joy out of the Bulls, which brings me to a point on my weekend radar. I feel like I'm crazy, Bill. I feel like I'm losing my mind because Shaq is at it again. And Shaq went on his podcast and basically called the NBA I'm going to use a different word than he used. He called it a trash product. Well, he called it a different thing, but it redounds to a trash product. And he said that LeBron's longevity is a product of this era being soft. All these guys are so soft. And then he also said that Ben Simmons should be arrested for his salary. He might not be wrong on that one, but on all these other points,
pretty funny.
where he's talking about how bad the product is, I'm losing my mind. I thought the season has been fantastic. We just had Joker go for a 61-point triple-double, and Steph almost break the NBA three-point record in a single game the other night. And the Rockets beating 2 really good teams. There's been so much entertainment value in this season, and I just don't understand. If Shaq hates the NBA that much, then, dude, you've got so much money. Go do something else.
I mean, dude, this is where I like Shaq. I've been around. Like, we all have. He's a great person. He's a great guy. And I like the show that he's on.
Interview. He's entertaining.
Right. He's funny. This was his podcast, not the NBA on TNT. Yes. But get over the grumpy old man thing. Can I just, by the way, I love the Jordan years. But can I remind people that there was a game, Aaron will correct me, game 5 against the Jazz back in 94 or 95 or whatever it was. The Bulls won that thing. It was like 83-79.
Yeah, it was in the 80s and 70s, yeah.
I mean, like, by the way, like, cool. Like, that was the era, and I loved it. And I was But stop with this rewriting history that every game in the 80s and 90s was the golden age. When Bird and Magic came into the league, as you know, they were playing the finals on tape delay. So can we just stop with this? It's okay for the game to evolve and be different. And this, I don't know if Shaq is insecure or it's part of his shtick. I'm so tired of, because this comes to the same thing where if he played Wembanyama, who was the other guy? If he played Wemby today and somebody else, he would, make them cry. And again, language I can't use, and make them quit. Like, dude, just stop. So I think Shaq's stop with the whole like insecure, nothing's good without me garbage. I'm over it.
That's what I think it is. I think that Shaq is desperate to just remain super, super relevant. Like he was on with Candace and Vince and Lefko last week, and he was talking about how he'd make Joker Serbian chicken, barbecue chicken.
Right.
Cool. I mean,
That's
he's
right.
like, I was like, he's the best
dude.
player in the NBA. He's the best player in the world right now. I don't know that Shaq was ever the best player in the world, but okay. Like, there's just an element there with the old guys and like in NBA culture in general that I personally have a hard time understanding. And that's that trash talk component. Like, a lot of guys love to trash talk. It's part of the game, right? After they get out of the game, they're still trash talking. No, I'm the best. You're not. I've always been hyper competitive as a human, but I'm the type of person who, if I win, I will congratulate you on a game well played. And then if I lose, I will then trash talk myself into crying later on, where I'll give myself a good talk about losing.
I talk a lot of trash
to other people.
You can also, yes, but only to friends. Like, but when I compete against my friends, but I'm also always like, I played not well, but I played pickup basketball for years. I play a lot of tennis now.
I was going to say, Are you talking trash on the tennis court?
I do, only to buddies, but to my buddies, I send them texts about how much they suck. Like, just randomly, I send them screen grabs of our score. I beat a buddy 6-0, 6-1 last week. He's heard about it a couple times. Yeah. But the thing is, that's in good fun, right? Like, what Shaq's doing is not. It's not humorous. He's not joking.
Well, I wonder, does he has been pretty relentless about how bad the product is in his mind. Again, you and I and a lot of other people, we had Seth Curry on this show. People can check that out on YouTube. And Seth was like, I think the NBA is as good as it's ever been in terms of athleticism and the product. JJ Redick was talking about it early this season. He said the same thing. Steph Curry has talked about it, said the same thing. My point is that if Shaq really hates the product that much, then why are you like dedicating your life to watching it? Is it just the relevance thing?
And can we also talk about the fact that guy who's pretending that the product sucks is the guy that put us through Hack-a-Shaq? That wasn't easy to watch. Sure. That was hard to watch. It wasn't his fault. I mean, maybe it was his fault. Learn to shoot a free throw, dude. I mean, so it's just, I mean, come on, man. Like, there are aspects of every era that are better than other aspects, but I think the game's interesting right now. I think it's interesting. I like watching it.
Me too. Anything else on your radar?
I have a couple. I'll give you this one. So I have this pet theory that, as much as we've talked about the top 8 teams in the West, that, you know, whoever's in the play-in can go out there and beat the Rockets if you come out as the 7, and maybe the 8 can push the Thunder. That's assuming it's going to be one of these teams we talk about. I keep worrying that the Mavs or the Kings are going to win their two playing. Like, whoever wins between the Mavs and the Kings is going to beat somebody that's actually good. And I've mostly been focused on Dallas but then the Kings beat Cleveland this weekend. And I just go, oh my God, if they have one of those against whatever, Minnesota, you're just going to take a pawn is going to take a queen off the board.
Yeah, that was an eye opener for them to beat the Cavs. I think the Cavs are a little bit in cruise control mode right now. Yeah. But yeah, you're right, because we had spent a good portion of last week really trash talking the Kings about just not being very good at basketball after De'Aaron Fox decided to put up his hand and get out of this thing. The Suns, while not technically eliminated, are basically eliminated. We can talk about them tomorrow when we do the who's to blame here. But yeah, I mean, in one game, anything could happen, which is why the play-in has been such a success and so much fun. But man, yeah, what if we end up losing Ant in the first round? That would be a major bummer.
Or the Warriors. I mean, not that that's gonna. I've seen the Warriors lose a couple playing games a few years ago. Whoever falls to that slot, I think I'm going to root for the Kings against the Mavs to reduce the likelihood that whoever loses the 7-8 game then loses the final playing game.
Right now, the 7-8 is the Wolves and the Grizz. So you want them in for sure, and then the Kings and the Mavs out.
I want good basketball. I think
that's the best chance to have it. Yeah, I'm with you. The only other thing I have on mine is just a really small note. You want to guess who has the best defensive rating in the NBA since the trade deadline?
I do want to get. I'm so bad at these things. I'm going to look over here at my standings.
This is one where pick an obscure team. I don't think you're going to land on this. I was kind of blown away by it.
All right, I'm going to go with the Magic.
That's a good guess. It's the Raptors.
What?
I don't know what to do with that. I saw it. I was doing other stuff, and I was looking at the Warriors and how.
That's the deadline?
since the deadline, the best defensive team in the NBA has been the Raptors. It's very confusing to me. I was surprised by it. I don't know what to do with it. I just wanted to throw it out there because I landed on it and I needed somebody to help me with it.
I got nothing for you.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
fascinating.
All right, what else you got on your radar?
I mean, I think that's it. I mean, I think we hit a lot of the other things that I was sort of focused on. I really want to just rant on Shaq, but you got there first.
Fantastic. Let's wrap it up with team of the night.
I'm going to go with the Knicks, despite our, I think, shared and collective doubt of their ceiling. It is huge to get Jalen Brunson back, and even though Thibbs tried really hard to break him immediately, let's play him 34 freaking minutes. You get the win, you get your guy back. You quelch all the talk about Cat being the MVP of that team. Good over Jalen's time gone. I'll take the Knicks.
Yeah, and as I said, 50 wins for 2 consecutive seasons. First time it's happened in 30 years. It's been a good season of Knicks basketball, an entertaining season of Knicks basketball. I think if you're a Knicks fan, you should feel pretty good about it. 9th time for the Knicks, by the way, being team of the night. They move into 2nd place there, which I'm kind of surprised about, to be honest with you. But the whole thing comes down to, number one, can you get out of that? If you end up with the Pistons, can you get out of that first round series? You're going to be favored, but it's not an easy one. And by the way, while we're mentioning who's the defensive metrics post deadline, the Pistons have the 2nd best defensive rating after those Raptors.
That's who I should have guessed.
They're playing really good basketball. Cade Cunningham back, like all of a sudden, like that's a scary first round matchup for the Knicks and for Knicks fans. Man, that would be such a disaster if they couldn't get out of the first round. I don't want that for Knicks fans. They've had a good season. I want to see them play the Celtics and give the Celtics like their best game. For me, team of the night, this is an easy one. You know, I'm going Rockets. They snapped Oklahoma's 11-game winning streak. They snapped the Warriors' 5-game winning streak. They keep the Thunder from winning 70 games. This is my kind of team, Bill. They don't have a star proper, but they have got just like a whole team of guys that can make your life absolutely miserable on any given night.
Look, I love it. I love your love for the Rockets. Well deserved.
7th time for the Rockets. All right. As I mentioned, we're going to be back at it tomorrow. We're going to have a regular show in the morning that's going to be Who's to Blame. So much blame to hand out in the NBA. We're going to do a whole show on that. And then tomorrow night, live on YouTube, you can find us at Beyond the Arc CBS. We'll be live to discuss that Knicks Celtics matchup, and then also the Lakers and Oklahoma City. They have their rematch from this weekend, so come and join us for that when those games wrap up. For now, for our NBA insider Bill Ryder, I'm John Gonzalez. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you tomorrow.